Okay, today I thought we'd talk a little bit about the AtomStack A10 Pro. It's a 10 watt optical laser engraver cutter. This is handheld, so if jerky handheld videos bother you, you probably should stop watching now. This one is set up with the Air Assist system because I'm primarily going to be using this for cutting. I have a smaller laser engraver that I like for doing engraving and pictures and that kind of stuff, because the software is easier for me to use. But what I wanted to talk primarily today about was doing test cuts in wood, 2mm, 4mm, and 8mm thick, and using the Air Assist, safety, all that good kind of stuff. So basically, I'm going to back you up. This room is actually small. I don't know if the camera will make it look bigger than it is. I can stand here at the doorway and touch that printer. I think it makes it look bigger than it is. The room is really small. And obviously it used to be a spare bathroom. I disconnected the water and everything to this room a long time ago. So setting my system up on top of the old tub, there's no chance of it ever getting wet. There isn't any water plumbing going to any of that stuff anymore. You can see up in the window, I've added a fan, which I have unplugged right now because it'd be noisy and we just add a lot of noise to what me trying to talk to you. But normally that's my exhaust fan. Plus up here in the ceiling right above my head, you have your standard bathroom exhaust fan as well. When it comes to safety, the AtomStack A10 Pro does not come with a pair of cheap safety laser glasses. They instead tell you the specifications, and you can buy from their website or you can buy on Amazon the exact right glasses to protect you from the wavelengths of this blue light laser, which I have done here. So it was about basically 40 bucks, $39 to get the proper ones, and there is even writing on there that talks about the two different wavelengths that these glasses, which are CE certified, will protect you from. So it's actually fairly inexpensive protection. You should have them. I don't use them a whole lot because, as you can see, I have a separate room, and I simply close that door whenever I'm running the laser, which we won't be doing today because I'm trying to video, but you get the idea. What else? So on this unit, the main thing I wanted to talk about was printing offline. That means not connected to a computer, not connected to a smart mobile device. In other words, printing as a standalone device, which is one of the things that this unit can do because it has a small, the little micro SD card. They call it a TF card. We call them SD cards. It's already in there. And if you were going to connect to the computer, you could connect that way. If you had a Android mobile device that was connected to the internet, you could, apparently, I haven't tried it yet, I plan to. If I get back here, you see that little thing hanging down? That's a Wi-Fi antenna. So apparently AtomStack has a mobile app that you can download onto your Android device, and then you can connect this directly to your mobile device. And once you've done that, you have different features that you can do. I think one of them was using the camera in your mobile device. You could take a picture of something or someone and directly manipulate it in the app, send it right to here, and burn it right into wood, which is kind of cool. I really wish there'd just been a better way of connecting this through the Wi-Fi directly to the computer, because I'm in this room, my computer stuff is over in that room. So when I do want to connect up with a wire, see that pile of wire down there? That's a long USB cable that I made that will in fact hook in there, run 30 some odd feet into there and connect to my computer. I just wanted to test it and make sure that I could in fact connect and control everything directly from the computer, and I could. But like I said, today I wanted to show that you can use it separate. You don't have to be connected. Here's the power button. We'll hit that. And here's your opening screen. And here you have two choices. One would be carve. And hit that. The little card that's in here came with the unit. And not only does that card have things like the owner's manual on there, it also has a database of information of laser settings based on thickness of wood, type of wood, whether you're engraving, whether you're cutting. Little things to help get you closer. But it also came with a 2mm plywood, and they're calling it carved, but that's engraving butterfly file. And they sent some 2mm wood like this. And it also came with 2mm plywood cutting dog. Now I've added a few other things on here. I added a Santa head. My friend Dan dresses up like Santa every year, so I put him on there to do as an engraving, or carve if you prefer. And then I did a cut file of 2 different gears that I could try. But I think what I wanted to show you is how that using this standalone you can make changes. For example, if you were doing the cut and it wasn't going all the way through, or it was going through more than you needed, how you can change the speed. You can change, let's go ahead and just take cut dog. I don't need another dog, but what the hell. I've got a piece of 4mm thick wood right there, and the unit's here, and the unit is set 2mm above the top of the piece of wood, which is where the fixed focus lens of the laser is supposed to be. So then you get this screen, and here it'll scroll and show you what you've selected. 2mm plywood cutting dog. Now I just told you what I have on there is 4mm wood, so it wouldn't go all the way through even as is. I'd probably have to do 2 passes. In fact, no problem about it. I've tested it. I'd have to do 2 passes. And you could just tell it to do 3 passes to be 100% sure that you go all the way through. You have a few things down here that you can select: frame, position, and center. Frame is going to show me where it's going to try and burn it. I'm thinking, let's hit that. Let's just see what it thinks. Okay, it's going way up. Let's move that up. It's not going to show up on camera, but behind this thing that looks like a mirror, there is, you could see the laser dot. Maybe if I block this light, can you see it then? I don't know if you can, but there's a little teeny blue dot, very low power dot, just for sighting to make sure it's going to be putting it where you want. Now I'm going to start this by hitting the play button, and then I'm going to pause it. Oh, as soon as you hit start, it's going to ask you how many passes you want to do. So for example, if I really truly wanted to burn that dog, because that's a cut file, and I know that this is 4mm, but the file was designed for 2, I could change how many passes I had in there. I could say, well, 2 would probably do it, but why don't I just go 3 to be sure? So I could put it on 3. But since I'm not actually wanting to burn, I just want to show you things are going to go. I'm going to say yes, and then as soon as it thinks about starting, I'm going to hit pause. Like right now, I hit pause. So now you can see I can change the power setting, because it was set at 100% power. Anytime you're doing a cut, you already know the laser's set at 100%. So even though there's a plus there, I can't go higher. It's already running at max. But I think I could go lower, and you can change when you touch these things how much it's going to move. 1% increment, 10%, 20%. Let's try the 20 because I've never tried it yet. And 80, 60, 40. I'm just kind of interested. Maybe I should even go lower. Let's go down to 30. No, I think I've gotten too carried away. 40. The other interesting thing about this touch screen is normally you would think when you touch something, that's when it makes the change. No. It's when you release your finger, that's when it makes the change. So it's kind of the opposite of what you would think. They also have a speed control, and because this was a cut file, you know it wasn't running at top speed. So maybe what I'll do is I'll set this at 50% power. There we go. And let's just go faster. Let's say 150%. We'll see what happens. Now I can already smell the smoke in here from that when I started things. I'm gonna try and plug this fan in. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand and holding the camera with the other, but I don't want to fill the house full of smoke and stink. Here we go. And let's close the door. It should help keep the smell in here. And even since I'm doing the adjustments to change a cut file into an engrave file, basically, I'm still going to run the air assist at about 50% power. And the reason I'm doing that is that's going to keep the smoke and debris from dirtying the laser lens. The laser lens will now be inside a compressed air hood with air moving out, and I don't have to worry about it getting dirty or soiled. So let's hit run. We'll just see if what it does. I mean, I've, totally goofed up the original settings. I've made it go quicker. I've turned the power down. Let's just see what it's doing. I can see it's definitely leaving marks. See it? So you don't normally need air assist when you're doing an engrave, as I like to call it. But it's just going to keep your laser lens clean, so you don't have to worry about it getting dirty. So it's worth, if you've got the unit, it's worth running. I mean, I could even run it higher, I guess. Make sure it's really blowing some air on there. I'm just saying the air assist doesn't make the quality of the engraving any cleaner, really. Okay, it's already done. So let's turn that off. Let's pull our little board out here. This board already had some sticky tape marks on it. It's fairly deep. As you can see, it makes a very fine line. It's very clean. So it worked, because normally this thing would have cut all the way through. So I was able to reduce the power 50% and speed it up 50% and just do an engrave of the dog. I wanted to just mainly show you the functions that were available when you're working offline, and now you've seen them. Okay, let's shut this down. As you can see, this piece is held on with magnets. The magnets are in here, and I still do plan to build a little metal frame over here at about a 45-degree angle, because right now I'm having to sit on this non-functioning toilet in order to see the screen, whereas if this was angled, at about a 45-degree angle like that, I could stand up and see it. So that is one thing I do plan to change. All right, what I want to show you now will be in the other room in here. And these were before I even get to these, I wanted to show you a database that comes with it. Now this particular laser, I'm going to turn this light off so we don't get so much reflections. There we go. Has a database for the AtomStack M50, as you can see, and different types of wood, acrylic, craft paper, mirror, leather, glass, on and on and on. And if you go across on one, let's say you selected basswood and you're just engraving, and then they'll have a thickness for the wood that they'll show. Let's go down to something else that actually has one. So here we have the AtomStack M50 basswood. We're actually going to cut. So if we cut that dog on that 2mm, we know that they probably were running at 100% power because they're in cut mode. They probably were running somewhere around 700 millimeters per minute, and 2 passes, this says. Now, so I think there must have been some slightly different settings on the test file that came on there, because it did it in 1 pass and went through 2mm. So since you can't get more power, I'm assuming maybe they went slower. Perhaps they only went 500 millimeters per minute at 100% power, and it was only 2 millimeter wood instead of 2.5. But then again, you know, it's based on the type of wood too. I don't know if that's basswood. It doesn't say. And this is the piece of wood that came from them. This is 2 millimeters thick. And here's the first one that came out. You can see it's not smoky or charred, and all the fine detail and all the parts fell right out. And it, with this 0.08 dot size, I mean, it just fits so perfectly. There's almost no slop. I'm going to hold it up to the window so you can see the crack around the part. Just totally amazing. Really love the quality of this. So then I took their same cut file, so I wouldn't have to try to learn how to make another cut file since I already knew that worked, and did it in 4 millimeter thick wood. Again, don't know what kind of wood it is. The package doesn't say, but here you can see it's getting quite thick, up to 4. The cut is just as beautiful. The part is just fine. So I went, well, what the heck? I'll take 2 pieces of that 4 millimeter and glue them together, sandwich them together, let them dry, and see if I could cut. Oh, and this was 3 passes. That was 1 pass. It cut it out in. This one I set on 3 passes. It cut it out in. This one I checked at 6 passes, and there was a couple of places on the back that hadn't quite gone all the way through. So I ran it a 7th pass, and it didn't seem to change. So at that point I'm going, okay, whatever type of resins and glues they were using, because this is all plywood, none of this stuff is solid wood. You can see the different layers on that stuff. They're all plywoods. Even their thin 2 millimeter one is a plywood made out of different plies. In any rate, it didn't, adding more passes wasn't going to change where this went. There was a little bit here on the back side. You can see those little white places. That's where I just poked it on through, even though it hadn't 100% burned all the way through. But again, this is actually over 8 millimeters thick, which is thicker than I ever plan on cutting pieces of wood. So then I decided I'd try my own hand using the free control program. This is your laser GRBL. Most people pronounce it laser Gerbil, just so that they don't have to spell everything out. I brought in I found a JPEG image online of 2 gears. And I went, well, I'll just bring a JPEG in. Let's just go through the settings. I set it at 100% power. I set it at 500 millimeters per minute and took it into the machine in there. And this is 4 millimeter thick, so I had it on 3 passes if I remember right. And the gears, they just came out spectacularly. This dark crap on the back is because I'd used the back side of this piece of wood to do an engraving of an image, which I didn't want to save, but I wanted to use the piece of wood. In fact, it came out of here. See, there was a Santa engraving there at one point, and this would be the back side, and this is the side that cut. If you want to see the difference between using Air Assist and not using Air Assist, then those two kind of let you show how much you can clean things up if you do use Air Assist. And just like with this dog thing, I mean, the gears they just fit back in there like a jigsaw puzzle. Just perfect, no slop. Just really amazing. Okay, this is the butterfly file, the engraving, which they call Carve, that came from AtomStack as a test, and this is a piece of their 2 millimeter wood, which I ran just initially just to see if everything was working, and it did. So then I took my friend, I'm showing you this for a reason, that's my friend Dan, who dresses up like Santa, and I randomly grabbed his JPEG image, threw it into the laser Gerbil program, and didn't know what settings I was going to need. So actually I was a little on the heavy side. Whatever my first setting was, I wanted to show you down here on the edge, if you can see the thickness. See how far down in there? Can you see that lip? You can see this part is different than this part. I was watching it run and went, wow, that is really cutting deep. I don't need to cut deep. So the first thing I went in and reduced the power like 50% from whatever it was I originally selected. So that's this section here. And then I decided, well, that's still deeper than I need. Why don't I just change the speed? So then I brought the speed up, if I remember right, 25% quicker, and finish the rest of it off. Just changing everything on the fly to see what it would look like. But that's an engraving or carving, if you will, of a low-res JPEG of Santa Claus, or Dan Marvinskin, and learned quite a bit because I was playing with the optical power and playing with the speed all in real time, and I could see how they were affecting everything. So these are my initial tests on the AtomStack A10 Pro, doing 2mm, 4mm, and 8mm plywood. Things that I'll probably do next is a practical project. This was all good as a learning curve, but now it would be fun to do something practical, something I can use. And for me, that probably means some sort of robotic project. Do a wood walking robot or something like that. But I wanted to share that so far. I mean, we could go through and teach you how to use the laser Gerbil program. I'm still learning, but I've learned a lot about how to use it. And the only reason I'm using this program is because it's free. You have to have some sort of program that the laser cutter recognizes. And really, you know, the best one that everyone uses out there is Lightburn. But unfortunately, Lightburn's expensive. You have to buy it. It's not free. So right now, I'm just using this program, and I'll probably see how far I can go with this program before it doesn't do what I need to do, and we'll see how that goes.